Hello, it's Chris here. I'm going on a bike ride along the Sturgeon River in St. Albert, Alberta. Along the way, I will be stopping to read from some plaques that they've got posted. I hope you'll join me as we learn about the local fauna and wildlife and some historical facts as well. Join me now as I head off on the Sturgeon River walkway. And yes, I really am bike riding it. Maybe I need a GoPro cam. Over there is the fairgrounds. St. Albert BMX track's over there. It's quite an interesting track. Tried to talk them into letting me go on it with this bike, and they're like, no, that's not a BMX. And it's true, it's not. Oh, there's the track now. Some riders riding. You can see off there in the distance. There's the track. A part of BMX track in St. Albert, anyways. You can go that way to the fairgrounds at Real Park, or down the trail along Sturgeon, and that's what we're doing. I bet you some of you thought I'd wipe out there. Well, first time I rode it the other day, I thought it was going to too. But I didn't. It's a beautiful trail, nicely paved, as we come to our first plaque to read to you. Tells us about the Bohemian waxwing. Most city dwellers know the Bohemian waxwing as the sociable grayish bird that strips their mountain ash of its orange berries. The waxwing appears suddenly, then disappears as soon as no berries remain. Waxwings will devour berries of all kinds, as well as insects and flower petals. Waxwings forage in flocks during winter, seeming to depend on each other to find food. The waxwing nests in northern woodlands and winters in the south of the province of Alberta. The cedar waxwing is most often seen in summer. To tell the two apart, look for the white wing bars and rusty brown color under the tail on the Bohemian. This plaque also tells you about the plated woodpecker, but I'm sorry, you'll have to take the walk yourself to see what it says. Curves ahead, nice warning sign. Like I said, it's a nicely paved trail. Other bikers, and you're like, if it's the Sturgeon River, where is it? Well, it's off through those trees. Sturgeon River walkway, trail, or whatever you wish to call it. It's very pleasant and relaxing. Breathe in the fresh air. Yeah, folks, the Chris is back that you guys have been missing. Upbeat, positive sounding. I'm happy. As we ride along the trail, the river's through there, we come to another plaque. Look at these trees, chewed by beavers, I bet. Aspens. A common tree that prefers dry, sunny areas, especially abundant in the aspen parkland, a zone of transition stretches across central Alberta between the prairie and the boreal forest. The ability of these poplars to shoot up suckers from wide-spreading roots makes this species one of the first plants to invade land cleared by fire or flood. Aspen stands are rich in wildlife. Ruffed grouse, moose, and deer feed on the twigs and buds of saplings and young trees. Fallen trees are also drumming sites for male grouse. Various birds and squirrels nest in cavities and mature in dead standing trees. Small songbirds find insects and protected nest sites in the leafy canopy of these trees. I'm quiet, we might hear the birds again. Oh, so relaxing. as we carry on the bike ride. Yep, there's the bike and my smiling face. We ride along, we come across another, well, there was a plaque here, but they removed it because information on it was no longer up to date. We've been joined on the trail by another bike rider. Safety first, got a rear light on her bike. Oh, another bike rider pulling up. Going pretty fast. I guess it is a popular trail. Warning here, caution, slippery conditions. And yes it is, because the water all captivates here. And there is the grassy swamplands, Sturgeon River, Big Lake. Sturgeon River's over there. Well, here I am on a heritage interpretive viewing deck, wetland wildlife. You are standing on the bank of the Sturgeon River, near the outlet of Big Lake, which can be seen in the distance. Big Lake covers an area of over 2½ square kilometers, though it is only about 1 kilometer deep. The nutrient-rich soil that surrounds Big Lake and the sturgeon is constantly being carried into the waters, which aids in supporting a variety of algae, grasses, and other wetland plant life. The rich and varied shoreline plant life in turn attracts a wide variety of wildlife: pheasants, grouse, partridge, Franklin gulls, weasels, coyotes, and white-tailed deer all thrive because both Big Lake and the Sturgeon River are so shallow they tend to freeze almost completely in the winter. This, combined with the lack of oxygen producing plants on the river bottom, makes the waters unattractive to most fish species. Northern pike can, however, be found in small numbers, particularly near the outlet of Big Lake. This is a heritage interpretive view deck. A brief history from information provided by Musée Heritage Museum. For the rest of the story, visit your museum. By that, they mean the CityofStAlbert Museum. We're in the distance there. You can see that trestle. Well, we're getting back on the bike, carrying on our ride, and that will bring us to the trestle. I love the warning signs on this trail, warning about the curves and slippery conditions. Makes it a lot safer. All diamonds on the other side of the river there. Grain elevators off there. Trail goes uphill a little here. That's okay. I'm in fairly good health as we carry on the ride. See the Sturgeon River through the trees there. And then we have another interpretive sign. I like the way that these are kind of designed to look kind of like a book. Fallen trees. Muskrat. Which one shall I tell you about? Muskrats. This rodent inhabits cattail-rich sloughs, lakes, and streams with its webbed hind feet and thick waterproof fur. It's well adapted to an aquatic life. In early fall, most muskrats build a 1-meter-tall lodge of cattails and mud for winter shelter. As water freezes, the muskrat makes push-ups, similar mounds of plant debris and mud at the surface. Here they feed on plant parts safe from predators. Lodges are usually abandoned in spring. By feeding on the roots and stems of cattails and other water plants, muskrats also create areas of open water to the benefit of waterfowl. and we carry on the ride. Along the trail, there's picnic benches to rest and relax on, have a nice lunch. Good place to take the family for a picnic. Free charge, and educational too. And there's Sturgeon River, looking all deep there, muddy. Hey, what do we got here? Red osier dogwood. The red osier dogwood is a prolific resident of stream sides, ravines, and damp woods. Wide-spreading roots make this plant a colonizer of open grounds. Its thick bark branches intertwine to form head-high thickets. The new shoots are house for moose, deer, elk, and cattle. Look for clipped stems at the end of branches. Heavily broomed plants indicate a large population of these animals. The red osier dogwood is one of the most beautiful forest plants, displaying flat-topped clusters of white flowers in June and July. White berries by August, distinctly veined, red leaves in the fall, and bright red stems, which are most noticeable in the winter. I can get in there, yes, but it's actually for the wildlife. This is a divider fence, and in there happens to be a wildlife camera on site. Personal information may be collected, and if so, will be done under the authority of Section 33 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. This information will not be used and will be immediately destroyed, treated in accordance with privacy protection provisions in Part 2 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. For more information, contact the Environment Branch, City of St. Albert. So there's a wildlife camera on site tracking the wildlife as we carry on the bike ride. Look at that trestle. Look at how old it is. Another plaque. Franklin gulls. One of Alberta's 2 breeding black-headed gulls, the Franklins. It's the only one with a red beak. This gull lives in colonies primarily on grassland marshes. It nests on floating masses of reeds in shallow waters. Often these handsome birds can be seen following plows in the fields, hoovering them, then scooping up worms and grasshoppers from the freshly turned soil. Cool of the evening, they feed on the wing, catching mayflies and gnats swarming near sloughs and lakes. Franklin gulls are easily scared off their nests, and foxes, coyotes, and weasels take many young gulls each year. I hope you're enjoying learning about these wildlife as much as I'm enjoying reading them. The blind corner here. Closer. As we carry on up here. You need a workout. Just to my right and a little bit off the trail is a workout station. One of those outdoor gyms. Now over here we have another interpretive duck. Transportation. The railway trestle that stands above you signaled the beginning of prosperity for St. Albert. Full rail service was introduced to St. Albert in 1908. Canadian Northern Railways reduced the distance between Edmonton and St. Albert from what was nearly a one-day drive to a train ride of less than an hour. Livestock and grain could be moved quickly to trade centers in Edmonton, and business in St. Albert prospered. The railway trestle, built in 1907, looks very much as it did then. Late in 1913, a rail and reliable rail transit system was introduced in the form of Edmonton Interurban Railway. 14th Street streetcar traveled on steel track following the route of today's St. Albert Trail. 1914, The car barn, the streetcar burned to the ground. It was never rebuilt, ending rapid rail transit in St. Albert. Once again, Heritage Imperative View Deck. A brief history from information provided by Musée Heritage Museum. For the rest of the story, visit your museum, meaning the St. Albert Museum. Now we shall get back on the bike ride on the trail. As you can see, these interpretive decks are a little off the trail, but that's okay. As we ride past. Well, part of that exercise circuit thing is right here. Up and down. Hand over hand, that one. And this brings us to the end of our trail. Thanks for viewing.